All right, let's talk about King of Hammers 2024. This one's an easy one to talk about because it went good. But yeah, we'll start off. Brand new Mason all-wheel drive 1,000 horsepower truck. If you haven't seen that video, go check that out because yeah, that will give you kind of an insight on my new toy. But first trophy truck race in my own trophy truck, pretty exciting. So King of the Hammers, kind of a cool, it's a 2-day event. We start on Saturday with a 35-mile prologue, which kind of sets us up for the Sunday race, which is a bigger race. We started in the back, couple slower guys in front of me. The course is 35 miles, starts, you leave Hammertown, do a little infield section, and then head up through some just nasty, rocky, big holes. Not very pleasant, rocks everywhere, just kind of asking for disaster. It's always not fun because like in qualifying you like know you have to charge, but then you're like, if I get a flat, I'm screwed. Because what's really interesting about King of the Hammers is that time from your prologue gets added to your time on race day. So it's really important that you get a good finish on the prologue because yeah, if you're down a couple minutes, you start the race literally already behind. So yeah, as you go through those rock sections, then it kind of winds through the mountain a little, and then you hop on these big sandy rollers, which is super fun. You're going crazy fast over these kind of blind sand whooped out rollers. It's pretty gnarly in the all-wheel drive. The all-wheel drive is so fast through there on the sand, and you're just like, holy cow, I'm doing like 95 over these rollers. You know, in the spec truck, you were not doing that. You were doing like 55, 60 once you got rolling. Like this thing just, so you float through those, then you hop on the lake bed, just big, high speed, 120 mile an hour lake bed. And then you make a hard right, 125 mile an hour through these big whoops. And then you start hitting these big, you go through these big whoops, and then there's some huge rollers. Really got to be careful there. I've almost crashed there a couple times because they're kind of mistiming and they look clean, and you come in super fast, and then next thing you know, you're looking at your front bumper on the ground. So tiptoed through there and then drop down the backside where you go through this really tight little rock squeeze. It is not pleasant in trophy trucks because they are so big and you're literally like rubbing. And then you drop down high speed and you're kind of running along the military base in these kind of S-turns. At this point, I caught the guy who started in front of me, and I was just sitting in his dust, which I was not too stoked about. He knew I was faster than him, but we didn't have any way of really like communicating. We didn't have a helicopter. We didn't have, we were just out there. So there's no push to pass. So we kind of ran him down and was just trying to get up to his bumper. The dust was just sitting. There was no wind, of course. Finally got up to him. Right when I got to his bumper, we were in this like kind of single track, and I kind of thought there was like a line off to the right. So I hopped out. Turns out no line to the right, just straight bush, 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 bush. Then was able to hop back in right in front of him. At that point, it was sweet because now we had some clean air. There you hop on the lake bed, it's super cool, just big drifting lake bed corner. Then you hook a 180 and start heading back towards Hammertown kinda. At that point, you get in some super tight, rocky, sketchy areas. And somehow at that point I'd caught another lapper or slower trophy truck in front of me, which I was not happy about. So I started tiptoeing through these rocks. The problem is in this rock area, there's just massive rocks. Opportunity for getting damage or causing a flat was just through the roof. So was kind of just tiptoeing my way through there, and then just sitting outside of this guy's dust, which he was going extremely slow. So I was getting a little frustrated because, this is going to set up for a race the next day. Hop into more high-speed section, kind of reel them in, but just don't have enough time because there's just some hidden rocks, and you're like, I can't risk getting a flat in here. Go a little more tight section and then kind of run down, and at that point, I started just like pushing through this guy's dust blindly. And he was just fast enough that it was hard to catch him, and the dust was just sitting. But it was a little frustrating. The day before, I had done a section of that course in the race truck as like a test run. I was doing 110. At this point, I was doing 75. So you're just like, what the heck? But finally was able to it opens up a little, and there's a couple different lines. I was able to get to the far left line and get to him, barely passed him, literally like came to his door, just kind of shoved him out of the way, scared him a little, I think. And then from that point, some huge G outs. And at this point I was like, I have to go because we're behind on time because we just spent a while hanging out with this dude. So through these huge G outs and there's some big old sand whoops, and then you kind of nimble through all these sandy section, which in the all-wheel drive is just like, that's ideal. So that was awesome. Allowed me to make up some time, and then we kind of loop around, drop down by back door, through a little rocky section, and then into the infield, which the infield, that's what I grew up on, short course stuff, so that was no issue. And yeah, we pulled in there, crossed the finish line. I was pretty frustrated. I was like, I kind of wanted like a rerun, but it's so long, you're like, it's not worth putting that much more time on the truck. So I was just like, we'll see where we ended up. Turns out we ended up first, only by 13 seconds, which, 13 seconds is good, but I was hoping for a little more buffer going into race day. But I'll take it considering like the circumstances. I was like, so we'll jump straight into race day. Race day was a 182-mile course. It was 2 laps, big desert loop out here in King of the Hammers. Right off the start, we started next to Ryan Arciero, which he's super quick, has a fast truck. I knew I should have no issue getting him with the jump with my 4-wheel drive in the infield section. So yeah, jumped him, got the lead, 1 corner in, and then kind of just put my head down and knew the guys behind me were chasing me. So tiptoed through all those rock sections, because the part of the qualifying course it was the same as the race course. So tiptoe through, go through those big sandy rollers, which those had gotten really chewed up since qualifying, so made it a little interesting. Get out there, and then we get in the military base, which military base, you're just grabbing gears in this new truck. It's so much fun because you're just, 90, 100, 110, 115, 120, and it's just, you're in these like S turns going uphill going, dude. Then you come in and whip a 180. At that point, it kind of is like this big, just giant sweeper for like ever, and you're doing like 100 miles an hour. And it's like this uphill kind of blind sweeper, and we're coming around there, and I'm like, and all of a sudden I see like something moving in the distance, but you can't see, the bushes are kind of, just this big thing moving in the distance. I'm like, it must be like some military guys or something, because we're actually racing on the military base. So they're kind of going around making sure spectators can't be there and stuff. We're like only that one day a year, we're allowed to be out there really. So we come out there, and all of a sudden there is a bus, literally a school bus that was racing from the race prior, but apparently he broke down out there. But now he was back going a solid like 5 miles an hour, and I was doing like 110. And I come around, and Mike's like, "Oh my God, it's a bus!" And I'm like, "What the heck?" And then we're like, we couldn't tell what line it was in until we got like right by him, and he was in our line. So a little sketchy, had to like bail out into the bushes, miss this dude, which you're like, dude, we had to scare him so bad though, because I don't think he knew we were coming. It was like us, then the media helicopter buzzing him, like he had to be, because I asked the guys behind me, I'm like, dude, did you guys see the bus on the course? They're like, no, we saw him way off to the side. Like he had to just panic and run, because we passed him just 110, like a couple feet away, going through the bushes. So yeah, from there kind of loops up on the military base, and then we hop off the military base, and they just run us through this gnarly cross grain stuff, and you're just like, I had a feeling the guys behind me would probably catch me a little in there, because I was just tiptoeing, because it was just violent. Go through there, and then we hop into a couple rock canyons, which are pretty fun, and just kind of slow and technical. I was really taking my time, just kind of getting in my groove. I'm still learning the new truck, so taking my time through there, no issues, whatever. And then from there, you kind of drop down, hit a couple big whoop sections, and then loop around by remote pit 1, which we had our guys there. At that point, I was able to kind of get some time splits, and they're like, hey, I think we had like a minute and a half on the guys behind us physically, which is a nice buffer. So we were like, perfect. I had a feeling they were close, but I knew I'd put a little time on them, but I wasn't really pushing too hard. From that point on, it's super high speed, just like these chattery bumps all around, and then kind of get up to a point where we like flip a 180 and we drop into these big washes, which had some big holes, but then it kind of speeds up. Unfortunately, coming down through there, we got a random flat. Not sure it looked like I must have hit a big rock or something. So that was kind of a bummer. So we got this flat, TPMS came on, alarm, flat tire. So when you're in the gravel, it's hard, and it's sandy, gravelly, so you're worried about getting the jack stuck, because we have onboard jack systems. So we had to kind of limp out, find ourselves a nice flat area. Did that. Mike Kim hopped out, got a pretty good tire change, was struggling a little for a sec. New car, we're both learning stuff, and we don't have Bluetooth set up yet. Normally we can talk to each other when he's out of the car, but it was good. But unfortunately it wasn't good enough. Tim Herps, who started behind us, passed us right when we were getting ready to get back in. Well, Mike was getting ready to get back in, so now we were second on the road. And it was just like, oh, this is not how I pictured my day going. I hoped on just having clean air, cruising all morning. I knew they had to pass me to win, so I was like, I just cruise. They're gonna struggle to pass me. The dust is tough. But of course, it doesn't work that way. Wasn't that easy. So at that point, we get back in. Mike gets strapped in. We go, and I'm kind of just, chasing down Tim's dust. I was able to catch him pretty fast. It's pretty fast flowy section, and then there's some rough, and then we loop back, and then we rip down the military base, which is just hauling butt, 120 through these S's, and you're getting down. And I was just sitting kind of right in his dust. I was able to run him down pretty hard, and the wind was kind of in our favor a little. There was no wind, but there was a slight little breeze, so I was able to get pretty close to him. But then right when I was getting close, we turned directions, and then the wind was just putting the dust right on me. So I kind of just had to maintain. I knew I had to be smart. We had a whole nother lap. If I had gotten another flat, being dumb, trying to run through the dust. There's just, King of the Hammers, there's so many big rocks and G-outs out here. You really got to be, careful. But so yeah, we go through there at that point, kind of chasing back down, do a big loop, and we're just kind of we're just pacing Herps, because I know, realistically, if I try to push through this dust the way it's sitting, I'm gonna create some issues that shouldn't. But so we do a loop around, for about 15-20 miles, just following Tim, just staying there enough to hunt. But I knew right coming into Hammertown, it gets sandy, which isn't as dusty. There is dust, but it's sandy, and my all-wheel drive trophy truck dominates over a two-wheel drive trophy truck in the sand. That's, kind of what it's built for. So I came into there, and I'm like, okay, we have the pits coming up soon. He's gonna have to pit, I have to pit. Let's try to get on this guy's bumper. So we kind of put our head down the last, 5-6 miles, and just really kind of reeled him in. Came into you come down by back door, and then you come into Hammertown, and there's an infield section, and he was pitted before the infield section, so literally past him. So now I'm back, leader on course, but I still have to pit, so I'm just charging through this infield. I got to make up every second we can while we have clean air. So we come through the infield, which all-wheel drive is so much fun in the infield. The thing just gets after it. It's short course days. It's a little heavier, and these berms aren't nearly as good as what we're used to, but it was still pretty fun. Come into the pits. I assumed, since we were so close, my guys were just going to do fuel and shove me and re-rack a tire. They were pretty confident, and we did 2 rear tires, full tank of gas, and put a rear tire in. At that point, I was going I'm sitting in the pits because I can't see what's behind me, and I'm like, dude, Tim's got to be coming around the corner any minute now. Fortunately enough, my guys were extremely faster than the Herps guys in the pits, and they did all that, and we still pulled out in front of them. So at that point, back in business, I was hyped. I was so pumped, all right, Christopher, now just don't screw this up, because now if you screw it up, it's definitely your fault. So now we're back first on the road, clean air, and I start doing some more math, and I'm like, oh, dude, they really have to pass us and put some time on us if they want to win, because I had a minute and a half on top of Tim Herps from qualifying. I only had 13 seconds on Ryan Arciero, but Ryan was having he had a multiple flats, so he was way back. So he wasn't a threat anymore. It was a race for me and Tim. So I was like, okay, so literally he has to pass me and then put a minute and a half on me. And I'm like, if I just cruise, he's not going to do that. So I literally just put on, the cruisers, which was good, because I was over driving the truck a little, These all-wheel drives, you have to drive a lot more mellow and less aggressive than like a two-wheel drive trophy truck or a spec truck, which I'm used to, because they're so heavy and they have so much punch out of the corners. You don't have to hustle them in. It's actually a lot smarter just to cruise. So as I cruised, I kind of picked up some pace, but the course now, we're going out on our second lap. You know, behind me there was, I don't know how many vehicles racing, 50, 60, I don't know, there's a ton. So the course, by the time I'm coming around for the second time, you know, 50 trophy trucks had just went through it. This thing was chewed up. I was like, holy cow, what did these guys do? I guess I was one of the guys, but it was like the holes were massive. Luckily, like, we have the Fox Live valve, which is so awesome, because when this gets to that point, we're able to start like tightening the truck up or opening it up to accommodate for the bigger holes, which is awesome, you know, especially with Mike Kim riding with me. He's tuning it, like I don't even have to think about it. So we do that, and yeah, at this point we just kind of start maintaining, you know, on the straightaways, you know, letting her do her thing, you know, getting after it, but it's the same loop. Kind of make our way through the rock section. I went so slow because I was just worried, like, Christopher, do not get a flat, do not damage the tires, because that's what I was kind of like in the back of my head. I was like, I must have damaged the tires in the rock sections earlier. Then when we got in the high speed, you know, it let loose, who knows. So I literally was just like tiptoeing through these rocks, just babying it, you know, like, oh, like, please, like, I was like, if I go this slow, even if I hit a rock, it's not going to cause any damage. But I knew they were coming behind me, but like I said, they had to pass me, and the course, it would have been tough. So kind of cruise through there, get through the rocks. At that point, you know, go by remote pit 1. They're like, hey, they're 50 seconds behind you, which I was like, okay, yeah, I figured they would have reeled me in a little because I was just tiptoeing through. At that point, you know, maintain, go back up towards the top of the course, come down the rock washes, really cruise through there, made sure I didn't find that same rock that I found before. Made my way down. At that point, you hop back on the military base, which was super fun and clean air this time, because, you know, just could really let that, the all-wheel drive in this 2-track 120 mile an hour stuff is just like, oh, it's dreamy. But make our way down there. At that point, you know, drop down, hit the lake bed, then come through more rocky stuff. I was like, we're just gonna cruise, and then maintain, come all the way around towards Hammertown. When we got in the sand, I was like, hey, we'll open her up a little in the sand, because that's with the all-wheel drive, if you're driving it hard through the sand, it just climbs right out of it. You don't even like bury, which is awesome. So kind of open it up a little there, put a little time on Tim, and then, you know, dropped her into Hammertown and won it. So yeah, we were pretty excited. I was a little nervous, like I was like, because we didn't have good splits and stuff, and you know, you're always paranoid, did I get a penalty, whatever, but it worked out. We beat them by like 2 minutes, and then we had some other time, so it all worked out awesome. I was hyped. I mean, what a way to debut a brand new trophy truck. I mean, I only had like 100 miles in it prior, so we were this was a good test. It survived. I learned a ton, and now I have a ton. Like, before going into this race, like when we were testing, the guys were asking me questions like, what do you want to do with this? What do you want to do with this? And I was just like I didn't know the truck enough. So now I'm like so excited. I have so many ideas, and yeah, no, it's good. And now I'm spending the entire week at Hammertown, which you can tell, and it just makes it a lot better when you win. So like, the vibe's just been better all week. But I mean, I'm just so excited. I mean, what a debut for my trophy truck. It made me pretty excited and pretty thankful. Like, I never thought I'd be racing a trophy truck, let alone an all-wheel drive trophy truck. And then to go win the first one, like, it fully hasn't like clicked in still. Like, last night I was laying in bed, I'm like, dude, what? Like, I would have just, you know, growing up, this was like the dream. And now it's like, dude, this is happening. I gotta like take this in. So yeah, that's a wrap on this. We have a ton more content coming from King of the Hammers, including a sweet race vlog, heli footage. Oh, the footage is insane. But we're gonna open it up with this, and if you have any more questions about the new truck, the race, drop a comment down below and hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next week.